Now pressure's coming from the near side. And Derek Carr throws high to Olave.
He took a hit. That's going to be
Chris Olave has been knocked out of the game. It happened on this hit right there as the cart comes onto the field. The star receiver getting the medical attention right now, going into the locker room, and they will examine him further.
This collision was a hit that, for a moment, made the entire NFL world stop. Not only because it was extremely violent, but also because in the years leading up to it, Chris Olave's name had become synonymous with head injuries. What made this particular concussion so frightening though, was that it was his second in just 3 weeks. In that moment, Chris Olave didn't know if he would ever step on the field again.
It was tough, it was real tough. Long off season, a lot of thoughts, a lot of stuff going on, especially with the head injuries. But I was only 24 years old, contemplating retirement.
Well, fast forward a year later, and he's doing the impossible.
Shot goes that way. Olave, touchdown!
For Olave, oh, what a one-handed grab, but turning.
Touchdown! Olave!
And the catch is made, and taking it in is Chris Olave for a Saints touchdown. He left the defender in smoke.
So, how'd he do it? How did he go from being on the verge of retiring from football forever to now becoming one of the best receivers in the entire NFL? To figure that out, we have to go back to the beginning. Born in San Ysidro, California in the year 2000, Chris grew up the youngest of 3 competitive brothers, and he spent most of his childhood competing in sports against older kids.
He hate to lose. I mean, even as a kid, like he said, if they was playing basketball in the backyard and he lost, he'd be ready to fight it. Isaiah would be calling me like, "Dad, can you come get Chris?"
I played with Chris my whole life, so he always played up with me. When he was about 5 years old and I was 7, he played on our team, so I think that's why he had the advantage.
Chris Olave played receiver at Eastlake High School. In his sophomore year, he was still finding his footing on the varsity level, but it was obvious that this kid had some serious potential. After that season, Chris Olave and his brothers transferred to Mission Hills High School as his family felt it was a better environment. However, just as his momentum was building, his future in football was derailed.
They wasn't getting the grades in school that we wanted them to have, so we moved from South San Diego to Northern San Diego and transferred schools. And then their old school filed a petition, and then they ended up having to sit out.
This setback was devastating, and it could have easily marked the end of the road for Olave.
It was something that we thought of in the decision process, but we didn't know it was going to be that serious. So it was definitely a shocker. We had to sit out the whole year.
But instead of letting it demotivate him, he took this opportunity to learn, prepare, and come back with a point to prove.
I think that gave him the mental toughness to deal with adversity. And, from there, he started watching film. He started studying his opponents. And then first game, senior year, he just exploded.
In his senior year, with only 1 season to make his mark, Olave exploded onto the field, recording 93 receptions for nearly 1,800 yards and 26 touchdowns. He led his team to a 12-1 record and a championship appearance. By the end of the year, he was recognized nationally as one of the best wide receiver prospects in the country. He had multiple offers from top programs, but the school he decided to join was the prestigious Ohio State, aka Wide Receiver University. The transition to college, however, wasn't easy.
It was tough. I got out there at 17 years old, away from my family for the first time. So I was on my own. I had to just lean on my teammates and my coaches. And it was a tough time first couple months.
Chris Olave arrived at Ohio State with uncertainty. But in training camp, coaches quickly took notice that he was something special. In his 2018 freshman season, his opportunities were limited, but he made the most of every single one.
This looks like an Ohio State-Michigan game. Haskins back to pass, pressure coming, throws it, it is caught, coming to the left side, Olave to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, and into the end zone goes Chris Olave. Tosses on a right angle for Olave, and he's got it in the end zone for another score.
By 2019, Chris Olave had stepped into the role of the team's primary receiver. But then came 2020, a year that was completely turned upside down by the pandemic. The season was cut in half, stadiums were empty, and everything felt off. To add insult to injury, in the season opener, Olave suffered his first concussion on a brutal hit.
Out wide, and this time it's Olave. Oof. Chris Olave took a blow, and he gets up slowly.
Despite the adversity, Olave remained consistent. In the 7 games he played, he totaled over 700 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. After 3 years at Ohio State, Olave's original plan was to declare for the NFL draft. But after careful consideration, he decided that he still had some quotes unfinished business at Ohio State. So, he came back for his senior season, and he dominated.
Steps up, launches downfield. Olave has arrived. Squares, throws, touchdown. Chris Olave. Olave makes the catch at the 1. Are you kidding me? Olave's got it. Career touchdown number 34, tying David Boston's Ohio State career record.
His senior season cemented him as one of the premier receiver prospects when he declared for the 2022 NFL Draft, where with the 11th overall pick, New Orleans traded up to get their guy.
The New Orleans Saints select Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State.
I feel like I could be one of the best in the game at receiver, but I just got to stay consistent with my work and have the quarterback trusting me with every ball, and I feel like I'm doing that throughout camp.
Chris Olave entered the NFL with high expectations, and from day one he delivered.
Deep to the rookie, and he makes the catch. Chris Olave getting it done for the Saints.
Dalton heaves this one downfield. It is caught and taken in by Olave. 52 yards.
In his second year, he only got better. More production, more big moments, and way more flair.
Carr steps up and delivers downfield. Get a 50-50 ball. What a catch by Olave.
Chris Olave with the elevation.
Near side, Olave. What a catch.
And it is juggled and caught. Touchdown. What a play by the receiver, Chris Olave.
Despite no stability at the quarterback position, he had comfortably established himself as the team's #1 option and one of the better receivers in the league. The point is, Olave was legitimately good, and in New Orleans, he was viewed as a star. But if you were to step back and look at the broader NFL narrative, then you'd quickly realize it was completely different. Instead of being recognized as a top pass catcher, Olave had built a reputation not on highlight reel catches, but on injuries. And it really wasn't hard to see why. I mean, just 5 weeks into his NFL career, he had suffered his first concussion, and the sight of him lying motionless on the field was deeply unsettling. The following year, he suffered his second concussion against Atlanta.
Chris Olave got separation, went up top, but out of bounds. Lord, he had a couple steps on A.J. Terrell, but the ball was underthrown and it's incomplete.
And sprinkled all throughout those first 2 seasons were countless brutal hits.
Looking for Olave, and he could not hold on with the hit from Devontae Casey, which draws a penalty marker.
However, these injuries, while definitely concerning, seemed like nothing more than just bad luck. That's why heading into 2024, his 3rd year, Olave was determined to leave it all behind, take another step forward, and finally solidify himself as an elite receiver. Instead, 2024 became the year that changed not just his career, but his life. But first, we have to set the stage, because that year, Olave was going into one of the most unfavorable situations in the entire league. Under head coach Dennis Allen, the New Orleans Saints had lost their identity. Their locker room had been torn apart, coaches lost the respect of their players, and the fan base had grown disconnected from the team. Starting in week 3, they became arguably the worst team in the NFL. With each loss, the pressure kept rising. And things only got worse in week 6, when, in a blowout loss against the Buccaneers, Chris Olave suffered the 4th concussion of his career.
And now Chris Olave is headed back towards the locker room after he took that hit from Zion McCollum.
For the average athlete, having that many hits to the head would prompt them to really reflect about their future, not just in football but also in life. Shockingly, however, Chris Olave rushed himself back and only missed one game. As bad as his injury history was, he simply wanted to move on and be there for his team in a city desperately searching for hope. But that decision would end up having grave consequences, because in Week 9 against the Carolina Panthers, the unthinkable happened.
On first down, pressure's coming from the near side, and Derek Carr throws high to Olave.
That's going to be a defenseless receiver. Flags came
Wide
flying
receiver Chris
everywhere.
Olave suffered a concussion in the first quarter. He was on the ground for several minutes and eventually left the field with medical personnel on a stretcher. He was transported to a hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina.
This wretched season for the Saints culminated with this horrifying sight, and everybody was scrambling trying to figure out who was to blame.
And then one of the most successful offensive players, Mike Thomas, he's tweeting out nonstop about Derek Carr and how it's Carr's fault for getting his receivers hurt with some of the throws he's making to avoid contact and being hit himself. It is ugly.
Essentially, the locker room's lost. It's broken. They don't know how to fix it. But my understanding, more importantly, Steve, is they believe Dennis Allen can't be the one to fix it.
This was Olave's 5th career concussion, and what made it exponentially more dangerous was that it was his 2nd in the span of 3 weeks, leaving him significantly more vulnerable to permanent and potentially even fatal consequences. Chris Olave had to put everything into perspective and ask himself one question: was it really worth it?
It was a tough position, you know, just having an injury. I ain't never really been hurt or missed that many games. That was really my first major injury, and sitting out 8 or 9 games was tough for me. You know, going into the NFL, you don't really think about head injuries. Not like no knee or ankle where you can bounce back quickly. It's kind of long term. It's just you only get one brain. So I had to talk it over with my film, talk to God, and it was tough. You know, it was real tough. Long off season. A lot of thoughts, especially with the head injuries, but you know, I was only 24 years old, contemplating retirement.
The truth is, there was no right or wrong answer. He could prioritize his health and walk away from football, and no one would blame him. Or he could keep playing the sport he poured everything into, chasing that life-changing second contract that all NFL players dream of. Finding the answer to that wasn't easy, but eventually Olave did.
It was tough, but like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to next year. Just trying to take it a day at a time to get stronger and trying to develop every day to be able to come back even better.
While Chris Olave was rebuilding himself, the Saints were too.
We've got breaking news from the NFL, where the New Orleans Saints are closing in on a deal to make Kellen Moore their new head coach.
With the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyler Shuck, quarterback, Louisville.
Wow. After a very long offseason, Chris Olave entered 2025 with full faith that he could bounce back. But his return was far from a smooth transition. His first few games were good, but not great. He was involved, but the production wasn't quite at that level that Olave was capable of. He was still a little hesitant, a little anxious. It didn't help that collectively the Saints were struggling as they started the season 1-8.
2nd down and 1. Oh, wow! It's picked off and taken into the end zone.
The Saints are 1-8. This is the National Football League. It's supposed to be pros versus pros. Well, sure in the hell don't look like that with the Saints right now.
But then came Week 10, the return to Bank of America Stadium, the same place where almost exactly 1 year prior, Chris Olave's career was almost ended. And like any other human would be, he was scared.
I had a great week of practice. I didn't really think about it too much, but when I came into the stadium, I just felt it all again. I had a lot of anxiety pre-game. And it was tough at first, trying to warm up, having a lot on my mind, a lot of anxiety, really like paranoid out there.
But Olave didn't let fear define who he was. In that game, he finally found the one thing he had lost on that field a year ago: freedom. The freedom to play without worry, the freedom to play without burden, the freedom to simply be himself.
I just needed a couple plays. That first drive really got me back comfortable out there, and it was just back to regular.
Goes deep down the sideline, and the catch is made, and taking it in is Chris Olave for a Saints touchdown.
Today is what we know what Chris Olave could do. And when you have games like this, it does something to your confidence. And you start believing in yourself, well, hell, okay, I can do it.
Chris Olave was back. This victory against the Panthers kicked off a stretch where the Saints finally figured it out. On the offensive side of the ball, Olave's connection with rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck became electric.
Sees the room to run for the end zone. Yes! Chris Olave for the touchdown.
Shuck is looking for the end zone. Caught Olave. Wide open, 23 yards.
Looking end zone, touchdown! Olave! That's a red zone touchdown for the Saints.
What a year for Chris Olave. Career high in catches with 100, receiving yards 1,169, 9 receiving touchdowns. Olave, what a talent he is. What an incredible season this was.
What Chris Olave did in 2025 is truly miraculous. To the NFL, he proved that he isn't just a talented receiver. He's a bona fide number one who belongs among the best in the game. To the Saints, he proved that the night they traded up to draft him, they got exactly who they thought they were getting. A cornerstone they could build around for years to come. And to himself, the 24-year-old who lay on that backboard in Charlotte, wondering if it was all over, he proved that what lives inside him is far greater than any football ability he'll ever possess. His unwavering resilience.
I just gotta thank God, man. It was a tough time last year. I was only 24 years old, contemplating retirement. I prayed about it. My close fam was around me. Through all the ups and downs, I just kept focused. Kellen still believed in me. I just gave it another try, another chance, and it's been a great year.
3 receivers to Shucks. Right, here comes pressure. Throws it towards the inside. Caught! Chris Olave! Touchdown!